Yep, I'm Naomi Bennett. A lot of time people ask about inspiration, and for me it's not famous people, it's actually my friends, other women in my community, because I think I'm very much driven by the community. I guess I don't really look up to celebrities in the same way, well, particularly as well, there's not that many out famous lesbians, you know, paving the way. So I guess in that sense, for me, I think it's more important to look at the people around you and who you can really make an impact with. I'm much more inspired by the people I can actually really make a positive change for. Like my parents, you know, we didn't come from a wealthy background and they both just worked full time. I didn't even know university was an option. I just very much lived day to day and I never really even thought about it. I am very drawn by my gut and I do things that I get a bit of a kind of a gut feeling. I do things I enjoy. I don't really think I ever necessarily had a career path or a plan. Not everyone kind of has that big career plan, and I think it's important to know that actually that's okay. For me, it very much was just kind of like when opportunities come up, if I like the sound of them, I go with it. And I think it's better to try something out. If you get the opportunity, you can at least then say you tried. And I guess I have that motto really. So if people say, do you want to do this? I go, well, yeah, let's give it a go. I mean, what's the worst that can happen? You try it, it doesn't work, you try something else. There's an interesting fact about how like the reason that men tend to get promoted more is because they'll apply for a job when they can do maybe 30-40% of the role, whereas a woman will wait till she feels like she can do 100%. Being mindful of that, a lot of the times I will put myself out of my comfort zone and I will just say to myself, well, I'm pretty confident I can do 70% and therefore I'm also pretty sure I can learn the rest on the job. You shouldn't wait for someone to give you feedback, you should ask for it. And if you want to learn something, find out how to get in the room, ask someone, can I join you? That I'd say is, I think a lot of times, I think we often, particularly as women, we often wait to be invited in. And I think actually my advice is really that sometimes you've got to create those opportunities. And so it's not necessarily that I've been given advice, but I've sought out information and I've paid attention and I've really just kind of watched and observed and then kind of taught myself, I guess, in that sense, from what has happened around me. And I launched my own business called Lesflix in 2019, and I was doing that kind of around the day job. And then during the pandemic, I got the opportunity to take redundancy, and I was like, why not? So I took a leap of faith. Lesflix was going really well. And so, yeah, I left my corporate day job and I now focus 100% on Lesflix. It's a lesbian streaming platform, but it's more than that. It's more of we're creating a culture and an ecosystem. We do events, we have an editorial website, and basically everything that Lesflix does, it exists to amplify lesbian, bisexual women's stories, so sapphic stories on screen, taking those stories that many people are creating and making sure that they get in front of that intended audience who are screaming out for that content. There's about 11 million women worldwide over the age of 15 who don't identify as heterosexual as a minimum. And so I'm hoping to try and at least get out to 1% of that audience. That's my first kind of target. In the first 9 months of Lesflix, completely unfunded, we did 36 events. We supported 76 films, and when there's an industry message saying there's no paying audience for lesbian films, we filled 830 seats with no paying audience. So there's that. And then, like I think about the fact that we did during the lockdown, in the first 3 months of lockdown, I think we did like 120 events. But for me, as equally important is the things we do with the community. And so the film clubs, like working with a local venue in Lewisham, for me it was fantastic to bring film clubs into the borough that I live in. That was amazing. And, again, I want to bring those back because that really kind of takes my passion that is a global thing, but also it brings it to where I live. You really can't underestimate safe spaces, not just physically safe spaces, but emotionally, mentally safe spaces. I talked already about being disparate and disconnected. I talk to women all the time, and over all the years that I've done things in the community, it can be really isolating when you don't know anyone else like you, or when you feel like you're never going to meet anyone else. And so, it plays at your eats away at your mental health when you're kind of sitting there going, I'm always going to be alone. Am I going to be happy? Am I going to be accepted? The same happens with the queer stories. You really want to see, the amount of women over the years, looking at DVDs going, oh, recommend a DVD for me. The number one question, which films have a happy ending? We really, that says it all. What I'm looking for is that you're looking to see that you've got a happy ending in your future, and so you look for it on screen in films. It may seem hard, or there may be barriers, but do you know what? In everything you do, you're learning, and just trust the process. You may think, why am I doing this? Why am I studying this? I did media studies because it was fun, and I just thought, it's just something so I wouldn't drop out. Actually, come full circle, 20 years later, I'm using that experience, and now I'm running a lesbian streaming platform, and I'm back in film. All of the the admin I did, it was boring, mind-numbing. I could do it stand on my head with my eyes closed. But I learned so many transferable skills, and I got into rooms with really senior people and got to observe and learn how they work and decisions they make. And all of those things have all contributed to where I am today, the skills I have today. So I think the advice is just keep at it. For me, it's definitely about collaboration, community, connection. I think I don't do things like, I'm never going to be rich and famous. I definitely do not do things for money. I have always looked after the grassroots. I'm very aware that that's where a lot of my community is. That's where I'm happiest. As I trust the process, you've got no idea where anything's going to send you or take you in life. And so if you get an opportunity to do something, just take it and just enjoy it. If you know what you want to do, that's great, but don't let that blindside you. And if you don't know what you want to do, that's fine as well, because that's actually exciting, because that means that you literally can try anything. So don't stress whether or not you've got it all mapped up. I had no idea, and actually it's more liberating, I think, because it does mean that you can have a bit more of a broader idea, and you can take up different opportunities.